In the heart of the Ottoman Empire, a unique and formidable military force rose to prominence, the Janissaries. These elite infantry soldiers were not born into power or nobility. In fact, most of them weren't even born Muslim. They were taken, often at a young age, from Christian families in the Balkans through a system known as Devsh, or the collection. The Devsh was not a random act of cruelty, but a carefully crafted imperial policy. The Ottomans believed that the state could mold the strongest, most loyal soldiers from children untainted by local loyalties. Boys between the ages of 8 and 18 were chosen, often the strongest and brightest, and taken to Istanbul. There, they were converted to Islam, trained rigorously in warfare, discipline, and Ottoman culture. Over time, they became part of the Kapakulu, or slaves of the sultan. But this term is misleading. These slaves held immense power, wealth, and influence. They were the elite. By the 15th century, the Janissaries had become the backbone of the Ottoman military. They were the first standing army in Europe since the Roman Empire, and they were feared across the continent. Clad in distinctive uniforms, marching in perfect unison to the beat of war drums, they brought terror to the battlefield. Their muskets and strict discipline often turned the tide of wars. It was the Janissaries who stormed Constantinople in 1453, toppling the Byzantine Empire and securing a new era for the Ottomans. But they were more than just warriors. Janissaries often held high positions in administration, diplomacy, and even palace intrigue. Their loyalty was to the sultan alone, at least in theory. Over time, that loyalty began to fade. As the empire aged, the Janissaries grew more powerful, more political, and more resistant to change. Many no longer came through the Devsh, but were born into Janissary families. Corruption crept in. Their military edge dulled, and their political interference grew dangerous. By the 17th and 18th centuries, the Janissaries had become a major obstacle to reform. They opposed modern weaponry, new military techniques, and any effort that threatened their privileges. They overthrew sultans, murdered reformers, and held the empire hostage with their influence. The very force that had once made the Ottomans mighty was now pulling them down. It all came to a head in 1826, during the reign of Sultan Mahmud II. Determined to modernize the army and free himself from Janissary domination, he planned a decisive strike. When the Janissaries revolted against his new military reforms, Mahmud responded with overwhelming force. In what became known as the Auspicious Incident, the Sultan's loyal troops shelled the Janissary barracks in Istanbul, slaughtering thousands and officially disbanding the corps. It was the violent end of a centuries-old institution, but the memory of the Janissaries didn't die in the flames of their barracks. For nearly 400 years, they shaped the fate of an empire. From Christian captives to imperial kingmakers, their story is a chilling reminder of how power, when unchecked, can devour even its own creators. The Janissaries were not just soldiers. They were the empire's sword, and eventually its shadow. Their rise was forged in fire, their fall sealed in it. The legacy of the Janissaries echoes still, a tale of power, loyalty, and ultimate corruption. History is full of shadows, secrets, and forgotten voices, and we're here to bring them back to life. If this story moved you, imagine what else waits to be uncovered. From ancient fortresses to whispered legends, each tale holds power. So if you crave more journeys into the mysterious and the true, don't forget to like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and most importantly, subscribe. because some stories deserve to be told again.